It has been a long time since I've sat down and filmed an actual sit-down talking video. Actually, I haven't done this in ages, but I really felt the need to sit back down and start doing some more talking videos with you guys. Hopefully I can do them more often. My life has been absolutely insane. I'll sit down and film a separate Q&A video later, but today I have something very important to speak about, and this has been on my mind to speak about for so long because you guys always ask me, what books am I reading, what books have I read, what books would I recommend to people trying to step into a more, I guess, enlightened or conscious mind or life, or just to open their mind to different things, or just books that have inspired me. So today I'm going to speak through, let me count, the 1, 2, 3. There's 4 main books that I would literally recommend everyone reading. 4 main books that changed my life, and then 2 of the books I'm reading at the moment that are almost on my top list, and then 2 other books that I started reading that weren't right for me but I know have been really amazing for some people. Little background on me with reading. Growing up in school, I used to swear I was dyslexic. I've always struggled with spelling. I used to struggle terribly with reading and reading out loud. Like when I do acting classes and they get us to stand up and do a cold read out loud, I would panic. I would stutter over all my words. The words would jumble. I've struggled with reading ever since I was young. And then one day I decided, fuck it, I want to read, I want to learn, I want to improve my reading skills. So I just started practicing, and the first book I encountered on my little path to that is The Power of Now. I don't even know how this book came into my life. I didn't even buy it. I'm pretty sure it was just sitting around the house when I lived in Byron, and it was actually I think it was actually my roommate Nicole's, and I asked her, can I borrow this to read it? And look how tattered it is. It is so torn up. There's like a random ass drawing of a cat in the back, so typical me. I've like underlined and like marked up this book heaps with all my favorite little bits in it. So yeah, The Power of Now. You guys would have probably heard about it. You would have probably seen my tattoo there that says now. This book changed my life. When I speak about each of these books, I'm just going to kind of give you a rundown on what's it about and what it kind of helped me with, but this book is really just about now and living presently. It's by Eckhart Tolle, who is literally one of my biggest like inspirations, I guess, when it comes to conscious living and like spiritual awakening. He is a genius, and he's written a few books, but this is, I think, like his bestseller. I've even marked when I started reading it. I read it in 2016, and I just lived by what this book said. It opens up your mind a lot about the voice in your head and distinguishing the fact that you are not that voice, and helping you just live more presently. It honestly would be worth me reading this again so I can get back on that path and to stop overthinking so much and just live in the moment. And the best thing it taught me was just that you are in this current moment, like unless you are hurt or you're in danger or something is about to attack you or something really major is actually going wrong in the outside world, then you are fine. So that helped me really overcome anxieties and panics when nothing would be going on. Everything would be fine, but it was all my mind. So I don't want to get too much into it, but number 1 on my list, everybody please read this book. I've given this book to so many of my friends to read, and yeah, it's amazing. I am so grateful for this book. It definitely changed my life. I read a lot of different books in between all these books, and I'm sure there's more, but I give a lot of my books out to my friends to read, and a lot of the time I don't always get them back. One of the books that I haven't actually got with me to show you today that I read before I read this next book was Patti Smith's book, Just Kids. I'll put a photo of it here. This book was amazing for me because if you love music like I do, and I kind of love like the 70s era, and I love the whole thing about rock stars and New York back in the day when all this stuff was kind of evolving and music was all these like big stars, Jimi Hendrix, etc., were all coming up. It's so interesting to listen to all their stories about what music was like back then, and like the evolution of it. And Patti Smith, her book Just Kids was just like a very inspiring and very cool book to read that kind of made me I don't know why it inspired me so much. It's just firstly a really interesting story, but also just kind of showed like persistence with your art and persistence with stuff that you love or that you're passionate about, and just trusting in the universe that it will always kind of guide you to exactly where you need to be. So I highly recommend reading Just Kids. And the next most influential book that I have read is Scar Tissue by Anthony Kiedis. Sorry about all of this background. I'm gonna close the window 1 second. A lot of you guys know I am obsessed with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They're one of my favorite bands. I have a big fat crush on Anthony Kiedis, but not only that, he's just one of the coolest people possibly ever put on this earth. This book it's a big one, and younger me back in the day would have picked up this book and been like, oh my god, you could not read this, like this is just too long. I breezed through this book. Firstly, such an interesting story about, it's kind of just about his life and like how he got into his career being a musician, and how the band formed, and then how he formed a drug addiction problem, and then his kind of story about getting clean and then relapsing, getting clean and then relapsing. And yeah, again, I love stories about musicians. Rock and roll world and music world is like just a freaking crazy land that it's just so cool. It's like if you've seen Almost Famous, it's just like, it's like that movie, like just hearing about all the crazy shit that happens. It's kind of what I'm into. So I love like books about different rock stars and musicians and artists, because I find them just, they're so inspiring. They're like rebels. And this book really inspired me to be rebellious again, and not to always just conform to society, not to always just conform to the ruling that everyone has set out for you, to kind of, you know, follow your own path and your own, what you feel is right for you. So this really inspired me because he's just a fucking badass. Next up, this book is beautiful. The Things You Can See Only When You Slow Down by Heyman Sunim. I hope I didn't butcher that. Backstory, I bought this book in a Bali airport. At the time, I was experiencing possibly the worst anxiety and panic attacks I ever have in my entire life. I was in a really, really, really bad place. I was experiencing it all for the first time. I was just, my mind was honestly just going a million miles an hour, and I felt so lost and misunderstood. Honestly, I just felt so alone and confused and upset. And at this time, I was leaving Bali and I had to go on a work trip in Shanghai. This was the whole time of the Tommy Hilfiger thing. Interesting, because you guys might have probably seen my videos and be like, oh my god, everything looks so great. But I was actually really struggling a lot, and I was so anxious to be going to Shanghai. I was really close to pulling out from the job because I just didn't think I could push past my anxiety and go to another country and keep doing more work and being in public and having to like do all that stuff. But on the plane, I started reading this book. And oh my god, like this book helped me so much. Firstly, the illustrations in it are like the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Every few pages there's beautiful illustrations, and I remember that was a huge part of what actually helped me calm down so much, was looking at these paintings, and they were just so like, something about them just, they're so delicate and beautiful, and the colors were so vibrant that it always boosted my mood. But pretty much the book is split up into a few different chapters. Chapter 1 is rest, 2 is mindfulness, 3 is passion, 4 is relationships, and 5 is love. Then it goes on to life, the future, spirituality. And the way that he kind of writes is he does like, so for the first one, it's like the topic of it is why am I so busy? And he writes like a big bit about it. He does this little like brief thing on it, and then it goes into like all of these little more broken up like proses. They're all kind of just split up by little dots, and the whole thing of the book is that he encourages you to read it slowly, and after every page or every section of the book you just stop and you reflect on it and you let it sit with you. And this is what I did, and it helped me so much. So I highly recommend this book. I've given this book to so many of my friends. My mum's read it, she loved it. It's just simply beautiful. And what they say on the cover is how to be calm and mindful in a fast-paced world. And it literally just has a way of slowing you down and making you sit and breathe. And I love this book so much. Okay, lastly, on my top favorites that I really think you guys should read, This is by the beautiful Oprah Winfrey. I love Oprah. She is my queen. This is the book called What I Know For Sure. And this book is super interestingly set out. It's like a bunch of different stories about little parts of her life, all in one book, about just things that she has learned and things that she knows for sure. The way she's written it is like receiving a hug from Oprah herself. She has a beautiful way of conveying stories, and I guess if you've watched her show or listened to her podcast, you would just know she is like literally a goddess in this world. This book as well, while I was super anxious, just was so comforting to read. The way she explains things and the things she loves in life, it makes you appreciate the small things and the little blessings we have in everyday life that we should be grateful for. The back of the book says, I know for sure your journey begins with the choice to get up, step out, and live fully. So she just speaks about, you know, helping you live your best life. These two books are like the most nurturing books I've ever read. They just make you feel like you're being embraced and hugged, and they're really, really easy to read. Then I just wanted to show you guys the two books I'm reading at the moment. The first one is The Untethered Soul. This is by Michael A. Singer. So I'm not that far into this book yet. I'm only up to like page 32. But so far it's amazing. It's really helped me distinguish the voice in my head versus my own soul, and helping you like explaining different ways so your brain can actually realize like you are not this over chattering voice in your head. And then lastly, this is the cutest little book ever, The Art of Gratitude by Meredith Gaston. She has a few other books as well. I was literally actually supposed to gift this book to one of my friends for Christmas, and then I started flicking through it and was like, this is the cutest book in the world. It's illustrated so adorably, and it has lots of little quotes in it. But what I love is that it has bits in it where you actually fill out questions. So it's almost like a workbook, but it has lots of information, and it's all about finding gratitude in your life and little ways you can improve on being more grateful. So yeah, it has little pages where you just can fill in stuff too. I'm so grateful with gratitude in my life, but I think after I experienced so much anxiety and all these terrible mental health issues that I was going through, I started to lose that, because I started to be like, I'm not grateful for this. This is hard. Like, I'm actually angry at the universe. Like, why is this happening to me? And instead of just being grateful for the blessings I had, I was so focused on how upset and hurt I was by what I was going through. So when I saw this book, I was like, honestly, like, you need to find your way back to gratitude, because I believe gratitude counteracts stress, and stress is what I had too much of in my life. In the mornings, I'll normally just try and sit down and do like 20 minutes of reading and journaling in it, and then journaling in my own diary, which is what I want to get to last. And yeah, so that's been helping me a lot. And lastly, I wanted to speak about the power of your own journals. If I'm feeling lost, or I'm feeling just like confused and like disappointed in myself, or upset, or just like whatever, lacking inspiration, I have like so many old journals. This is just one. I have so many of my old journals. I will grab them, sit on my bed, pick up one, and just start reading old passages. I'll read the poetry that I've written. I'll read about when things were amazing, and then I'll read about when things were hard, and I will literally read my journey of how I got myself out of that place, and I will like allow that to inspire me. Reflecting on your journey and reflecting on the, I guess, the path you've been on and the things you've overcome, it just is, there's nothing more inspiring than that. Like, even though you can read all these other books and listen to other people's stories or advice, there's no better advice you can give than the stuff you're giving yourself. So when I journal as well, I always, even when I'm having down moments, I'll always try and write like positive affirmations to myself. Even if at the time I don't even 100% believe them, I'm just like, hey, come on girl, like you got this. Reading it back is like life-changing. Like, you see what you go through, and then you can actually sit there and be proud of yourself. So I highly recommend, don't fill in a journal and then throw it away, even if it was like the hardest time of your life. Keep it, because that's something you should be proud of, that you overcame all of that shit that's in this journal. This journal held your emotions for you and is nurturing them for you so you can move on with your life. So I fucking love journaling. It changed my life. It's just one of the most powerful things, and I don't even know how it works. I do not know why it feels so good, why it helps so much, because you're just literally writing out words that you feel. But why I think it's so important for me is that I know it's my safe space, it belongs to me. it's like your own personal like therapist or best friend. So yeah. Whoa, I feel like I've spoken so much. Thank you guys so much for listening to this video. If you have any book recommendations for me, please leave them in the comments. I hope I have more videos up for you soon. I'm not going to make any promises because I have some huge stuff coming up in the next month, but I wanted to let you know I have just locked down some dates that I am going to be doing a pop-up sale in Sydney. My old clothes, I've just cleared out my whole unit and I'm selling a lot of clothes. I have a lot. They all need to go. So I'm doing a sale. It's going to be in Paddington in Sydney. On the 9th and the 10th of March. I'll have more info for that soon, and when I do have that info I'll be posting it on my Instagram, but I just wanted to like let you guys know so you can either like save one of those dates or whatnot. But obviously it's first in best dress, so I assume a lot of people will be coming on the Saturday, so a lot of the stock will go. But I will be opening it on Sunday as well, just so anyone that can't make it on the Saturday can still come by and pick up something. I have heaps of clothes, jewelry, accessories. It's in the most beautiful art gallery. I've been manifesting a really nice space and I successfully manifested the most perfect spot for it. So yeah, I just thought I'd give you guys like a little warning about dates. Live in Sydney in Australia and you want to pop on by, you can organize a little date with some of your friends. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm so happy I finally filmed this. It's been on my mind for so long. But yeah, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, stay up to date with everything, turn my post notifications on Instagram and YouTube, stay fully in the loop with what I'm up to. And yeah, I love you guys so much. I'll speak to you soon. Mwah.